Susan Boyle, the woman who made the world cry with a single song, has sold over 25 million records worldwide. That at 64, she stands as one of the most shocking success stories in entertainment history. A woman dismissed, mocked, laughed at on live television by millions. April 11, 2009. Britain's Got Talent. A stage in Glasgow. 3 judges ready to press the buzzer. An audience smirking before she even opened her mouth. Then she sang, and the world stopped laughing. But what happened after that moment? The devastating price of sudden fame. The heartbreaking isolation. The brutal reality of living as an overnight sensation at 47. Tells a story far darker than the fairy tale we all witnessed. Susan Boyle became a symbol of hope. Proof that dreams don't have an expiration date. Yet behind that voice lies a story not glamorous, but brutal. A story of loneliness that fame couldn't cure. Of mental breakdowns broadcast worldwide. Of a woman who conquered the world, but still lives in the same small house where her mother died. This is not the story you think you know. If Susan Boyle has ever made you believe that it's never too late, hit like as tribute to her courage. This is the story of a woman who waited 47 years for her moment, achieved everything she dreamed of, and discovered that success doesn't always heal the wounds of the past. What you're about to hear will change how you see that 2009 audition forever. April 1st, 1961, Blackburn, West Lothian, Scotland. Susan Magdalene Boyle entered the world not to celebration, but to complications that would mark her entire life. She was the youngest of 9 children, born with a disability caused by oxygen deprivation during birth. The doctors told her mother, Bridget, that Susan might never be normal, that she would struggle. They were right about the struggle, wrong about everything else. The kids at school called her Susie Simple. They mocked the way she learned slower than others, the way she looked different, the way she talked. Susan wasn't mentally disabled. She had learning difficulties, yes, but inside that mind was something the bullies couldn't see. A voice, pure and powerful. Her mother heard it first. Bridget Boyle became Susan's entire world. Her protector, her believer, the only person who told her the dream wasn't foolish. What dream? To sing professionally, to be like Elaine Paige, whose voice Susan worshipped. But Blackburn wasn't London, and girls who looked like Susan, plain, unfashionable, awkward, didn't become stars. The family had little money. Patrick Boyle, her father, worked as a miner and then a laborer. They lived in a small council house. No luxuries, just love and struggle in equal measure. Susan sang in church, in local talent shows. She recorded a demo in 1984 for £200 she'd saved. Sent it everywhere. Nothing. She auditioned for My Kind of People, a British TV talent show, in 1995. Nothing. Years passed. Her father died in 1997. Her siblings moved away, built their own lives. Susan stayed, caring for her aging mother in that same small house on Yule Terrace. She never married, never had children, never kissed anyone, as she would later admit. Her entire life became about 2 things, her mother and her voice. People in Blackburn knew her as the odd woman who sang at church, the unemployed daughter still living at home at 40. Then for 5. Not cruel people, necessarily. Just people who'd given up, expecting anything extraordinary from Susan Boyle. Susan herself almost gave up. Almost. Then came 2007. Bridget Boyle died at age 91. The woman who believed in Susan when no one else did. The grief was devastating, absolute. Susan fell into depression. The house felt empty. The future felt impossible. But Bridget had made Susan promise something before she died. Enter that talent show, the one you always talk about. Do it for me. Britain's Got Talent. Auditions were coming to Glasgow in early 2009. Susan was 47 years old, unemployed, a virgin, living alone in her mother's house with a cat named Pebbles. This was her last chance. She knew it. April 11, 2009, the Clyde Auditorium, Glasgow. Susan walked onto that stage wearing a gold dress she'd bought herself. Hair untamed, eyebrows thick, no makeup artist, no stylist. Simon Cowell, Piers Morgan, and Amanda Holden sat ready. The audience smirked, rolled their eyes, The cameras caught it all. Amanda asked her age. 47, Susan said. She said she wanted to be like Elaine Page. More laughter. Piers and Simon exchanged looks, the kind that said, "This will be embarrassing." Then the music started. I dreamed a dream from Les Miserables. Susan opened her mouth, and everything changed. Amanda's jaw dropped. Simon sat forward. Piers looked stunned. The audience erupted. Not in mockery, in shock, in awe. Within 48 hours, the audition video had 100 million views on YouTube. Within a week, to 100 million. It became the most watched video in YouTube history at that time. Susan Boyle became a global phenomenon overnight. Her debut album, I Dreamed a Dream, released in November 2009, sold 10 million copies worldwide in its first year. It became the best-selling debut album in UK history. In the United States, it sold 3.1 million copies in 5 weeks. She earned approximately £5 million that first year alone. Susan appeared on Oprah, on Good Morning America. She performed for Pope Benedict XVI at Bellahouston Park in Glasgow. By 2010, her net worth was estimated at £22 million. The woman who'd never earned more than unemployment benefits was suddenly one of the most famous people on earth. Success. Finally. But at what cost? Major tragedy-esque fairy tale narrative stopped there for most people. But for Susan, the nightmare was just beginning. May 31, 2009, Britain's Got Talent final. The pressure was unbearable. Susan hadn't slept properly in weeks. The media followed her everywhere. Cameras, reporters, strangers recognizing her, touching her, wanting pieces of her. She came second to a dance group called Diversity, and she broke completely. Susan was admitted to the Priory, a psychiatric clinic in London. That same night, exhausted, overwhelmed, having what doctors called a mental breakdown. The woman who'd waited 47 years for success couldn't handle it when it came, because Susan wasn't prepared for fame. She had learning difficulties. She'd lived a sheltered life. Suddenly she was thrust into a media circus that would destroy even the strongest personalities. She told Piers Morgan later, "I was terrified. I didn't understand what was happening. Everyone wanted something from me. I just wanted my mum, but her mum was gone." Susan returned to Blackburn, to the same small house, the same street where she'd always lived. She tried to continue, released albums, toured. But the anxiety never left. 2012, Susan suffered another breakdown during a hotel stay in Los Angeles. Again, she was hospitalized. The diagnosis came finally: Asperger's syndrome, now classified under autism spectrum disorder. Susan told reporters, "I was relieved. It explains so much. Why I struggled with people. Why change terrified me. Why fame felt like torture." The world had fallen in love with Susan Boyle, the voice. But they didn't understand Susan Boyle, the person. She struggled with basic things others took for granted. Social interactions, busy environments, unexpected changes, and fame meant nothing but chaos. What few people know is that Susan was assaulted multiple times after becoming famous. 2010, a gang of teenagers threw rocks at her, called her names. In Blackburn, her own hometown. 2012, she was attacked at a hotel by a group of young people who didn't recognize her, just saw a vulnerable woman alone. The isolation grew worse. Susan wanted to connect with people, wanted love, wanted what her siblings had: marriages, children, normal lives. But she remained alone. At 52, she admitted she'd never been kissed, never been in a relationship, never experienced romantic love. The world saw a millionaire celebrity. The truth was different. Susan lived alone with her cat. She still does her own shopping at the local co-op in Blackburn, still attends the same church, Our Lady of Lourdes. She told The Guardian in 2019, "I thought fame would fill the loneliness. It made it worse. I'm surrounded by people, but I've never felt more alone." The heartbreaking reality: Susan Boyle achieved her dream and lost herself in the process. Her albums continued to sell. 8 studio albums between 2009 and 2019, tours across the world, estimated career earnings of over £30 million. But money couldn't buy what she wanted most: connection, understanding, someone to come home to. 2019 brought another blow. Susan suffered a minor stroke. It left her shaken, frightened about her future. Then came 2020, the pandemic. Susan was isolated in Blackburn for months, completely alone. The touring stopped. The recording stopped. The silence was brutal. Today, at 64, Susan Boyle lives quietly in Blackburn, West Lothian, the same house where her mother died, the same street where she was mocked as a child. She's renovated it now, made it comfortable, but she never moved away. Why? This is home, she says simply. My memories are here. My mother is here. Her net worth is estimated at £40 million. Yet she shops at discount stores, takes the bus, lives modestly. Susan performs occasionally. Smaller venues now. She released her 10th album, 10, in 2019 to commemorate her 10th anniversary in music. She's found some peace with her autism diagnosis, speaks openly about it, hopes to help others understand. She's involved in charity work, supports autism organizations, helps children with learning difficulties, but the loneliness remains. Susan has spoken openly about still hoping for love, still dreaming of a relationship at 64. I'm not dead yet, she told reporters with a laugh. Behind the laugh, though, is real longing. She spends time with her family, nieces, nephews, siblings when they visit. She cares for a new cat. The voice remains pure, powerful, unchanged. But Susan performs on her terms now. No pressure, no breakdowns. She's learned to say no, to protect herself, to understand that fame was never the dream anyway. The dream was simply to sing, and she's done that beautifully. At 64, Susan Boyle stands as proof that dreams don't have age limits, but they do have costs. From Blackburn to worldwide fame, from mockery to 25 million albums sold, from isolation to different isolation. Susan achieved everything the girl in the church choir dreamed of, and she's still the same person, still alone, still hoping. Still singing. That 2009 audition wasn't just entertainment. It was a woman fighting for dignity, for validation, for her mother's memory. Susan won that fight, but victory didn't look the way she'd imagined. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when Susan's courage reminded you that being different isn't being less, that waiting for your moment, no matter how long, is worth it. Susan Boyle is still waiting for some of her dreams, but she's never stopped singing. And that voice, pure, powerful, unchanged, remains proof that some things in this world are still real.